Hey, what's up guys? It's Toxic here, and today we're going to be talking about Builders Club only games. Now, Builders Club only games were obviously, a thing of the past. I mean, Builders Club isn't even a thing on Roblox anymore. Instead, we have Premium. But anyway, Builders Club only games were games that were only for Builders Club members. If you weren't a Builders Club member, you could not access the game at all. And this was a thing that was on Roblox for quite a few years, and there was a little bit of controversy around it ever since it came around, up until the time it was removed. And it was removed in late 2017. As you can see from this dev forum post, it says, "Hey developers, in the coming weeks we'll remove the option to restrict games to Builders Club members. BC only games will become accessible to players of all membership levels." And basically they go on to say right here that you could basically just put it right back if you want to, but they don't recommend it, because if you don't know, you could just check to see if a user was Builders Club or not through scripting. But they said they don't recommend it, and most games nowadays don't have it. I think the only example of a Builders Club only game in modern day Roblox is Trade Hangout, which makes a lot of sense when you think about it, because you can't trade unless you have Builders Club. And what's the purpose of having, a game about trading and you just have a bunch of people who can't trade just sitting there? It doesn't really make much sense. So in that regard, it makes a lot of sense to have a Builders Club feature or to limit it through scripting. But anyway, I wanted to talk about this not because of the change, and I kind of want to give my input on whether or not I think it's good, because honestly I think that it's a pretty decent change. But I also wanted to take a look at some games that were using this feature, and I found two examples of games that were using this feature. And these aren't the only examples, obviously, but these two kind of categorize the main ways people use the Builders Club only game feature. Now, the first way was the more harmless way of the two, which is a Builders Club only version of a game that has a non-Builders Club version. As you can see in the description of Cole's Admin House BC, it literally says NBC version, and it links to the Cole's Admin House NBC, as you can see here. And I think that it's pretty interesting that there was a divide here, that there is a Builders Club only version of a game that was pretty popular just for non-Builders Club people. And honestly, I never really checked this out, but this was a pretty good example of the main kind of people who use the Builders Club only system. And this was prevalent for a very long time, because you would be able to divide the Builders Club people and the non-Builders Club people. And for some reason, it kind of boosted people's egos, like, hey, I have Builders Club, you don't, so you can't join me. I'm playing with people who also have Builders Club, because we're cool. And I guess that's the main reason why these games even got attention, because, hey, it's for Builders Club only members. If you don't have Builders Club, you can't join. It's like a flex thing, really, more than anything else. And you can see, even to this day, Cole's Admin House BC has 32 people playing, and the NBC version has 471 people. So you can see there's still, to this day, less people playing the BC version over the NBC version. And I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be like perfectly identical. The only difference is the fact that one was supposed to be for Builders Club members and one wasn't. But anyway, moving on to the other kind, and this was the main reason I wanted to make this video, because I found one of these games and it reminded me of these days, and I really wanted to make a video just talking about it. And of course, I'm talking about the games that offered 100,000 Robux if you could complete this obby. Now you can see that this game was created in 2016, so, and in the title it even says BC only, so it's very clear that this game was meant to be a BC only game. And if we take a look at the game itself, they weren't usually the best built. As you can see, it's basically just poorly built, just blocks everywhere, and then free models. And this is basically the second kind. The games that promise you a large, absurd amount of Robux if you can basically complete an obby that would typically just be impossible. Or if it was possible, they would just never pay up. But as you can see here, this obby consists of just jumping across a bunch of, brown little rectangle things here. Except here's the catch. It's impossible once you get to this stage. Because if you take a look, right, if we try to go the longest jump distance possible, which is making yourself 90 degrees parallel to the block and then just jumping to the side like that, you could see even if we time it almost perfectly, we were nowhere near that brown block. Which really goes to show you that these games were just scams. They were literally impossible to complete. And I don't know why these games got popular, other than, hey, the false promise of, Robux, but I feel like people really shouldn't have played these games as much as they did. They really gave it more attention than it deserved. But anyway, honestly, these games were just like this. Honestly, they would either be impossible, obviously to get more place visits and more attention and all that, or it would just, again, they just would not pay out. But yeah, that's basically the second category we have here for BC only games. And these were the only other bunch that I really remember existing. They would just be these poorly built, poorly scripted games that were just trying to get people to play their game really. And especially back when tickets were around, people would really capitalize on this, because if you didn't know, BC only games gave 10 tickets per place visit, not just one ticket like all the other games. So this was a very, very good way to make a quick buck on Roblox. You just make one of these obbies that promises a huge payout. You'd get all these BC players joining, you'd get a ton of tickets, and you would never have to pay out. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the second category. Now, I've kind of been thinking about a third category, and this doesn't really fall into the BC only game. This is why I didn't include it in my, hey, there are two categories. And obviously, there are certain games that existed that don't fit into either of these categories. And, this is mostly just to point out the two main categories that you would really see around. But the third category, which I really didn't want to include because it doesn't really have much to do with BC only, as much as it does personal servers. But basically, it would just be the city building servers with the stamper tool. And I kind of forgot about them when I made my two-person list, and honestly, I didn't want to include it anyway because, again, it has more to do with the personal build servers rather than, Builders Club only games. But I think it's still an honorable mention because I don't remember if only BC users could play them or if there were just BC only versions of them. It could be either or, but basically people would be building cities on Roblox and just, role-playing and all that using the stamper tool and just building stuff and using the stamper car and the stamper road and the stamper bricks to build houses. It was an interesting time on Roblox, to say the least. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. I just wanted to talk about BC only games because I feel like it's very forgotten on Roblox. Not many people seem to remember a time when BC only games were around, and it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, as you could see. It wasn't the best. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time, and goodbye.